Game terminology can be quite confusing. A game platform may refer to almost anything because platform is a generic term, just like system or framework. These terms are close to meaningless. Let's have a closer look at game platforms. In common parlance, a platform is a podium, a stage where you can stand on, something that supports you. A game platform similarly supports games. It refers to the technology that is used. There are three different platform categories. The game development platform, to create the game distribution platform, to publish the game, and the game target platform. This is the technical platform needed to play the game. These three platforms reflect the life cycle of a game. A game is first created, then distributed, and finally used by the players. Let's go into game development platforms first. Games are most dominantly created in game engines, such as Unreal Engine, Cocos and Unity 3D. These are specialized tools that allow for directly setting up game scenes, to define the game's structure, events and scores, to import and manage media assets, such as music, sounds, pictures, animations and 3D objects, and to specify the game logic that links all elements together. Using a game engine greatly simplifies game development and thereby reduces costs, time and effort needed. But there are other ways to develop games. Basically, you could do with just a text editor for coding programming languages such as C#, Python or Java, which are platforms by themselves. Games can be coded line by line and compiled to create the game, be it a simple one. You may also use an integrated development environment, an IDE, such as the Visual Studio platform for C# or the Eclipse platform for Java. Although these IDEs simplify code development and debugging, they are generic environments, not particularly tuned to game creation. Finally, there are game authoring platforms such as ITY Studio, Construct 3 or Captivate. These allow non-technical users to create games without or almost without coding. Hence, there are multiple platforms to create games, but for full-blown games you would rely on a specialized game engine. Note that alongside you would also need specialized tools to create textures, 3D objects, music and sound effects to be imported into the game engine. Now, what about distribution platforms? You can still buy games on CD-ROM or DVD cassette, but this market is fading because most games can now be downloaded from online marketplace platforms, such as Steam, the app stores from Google and Apple, or the Sony PlayStation Store. These platforms are also social platforms, building a fan-based community with reviews, recommendations and discussions. Streaming services are likely to replace the downloading of games soon. All big internet giants have their game streaming services in place. The advantage of streaming is that you don't need an expensive, high-performance gaming computer to play most demanding blockbuster games. Finally, we have target platforms for game deployment, the hardware and software needed to run the game. There are many different target platforms and they are highly incompatible. Games on a browser platform run on the World Wide Web, for instance using Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox or Opera web browser. There are also many different hardware platforms, for instance PC, Mac, tablet, mobile phone, Xbox, PlayStation, Wii, all requiring different game software. This hardware is closely connected to operating systems, for instance Android and iOS for mobile devices, or Windows, Ubuntu and Linux for desktop PCs. All these different hardware and software environments have their own requirements and limitations. Therefore, games developed for one platform will probably fail to run elsewhere. In sum, game platforms can be anything. We distinguish between game development platforms, game distribution platforms and game target platforms. Game platforms tend to be non-compliant and they differ with respect to various technical factors, for instance the operating system or the hardware required. It's actually a mess.